My name is Rebeccah Cope. I'm now the program director of two parks, which is historic Yates Mill County Park and Crowder District Park. So another challenge for us, still related to the budget, is the fact that we do have less money available actually to do marketing and to do publications or print materials for the parks. That's one place where we felt like we could make some cuts and find some more creative ways to try to get the word out, but in some cases we aren't able to do as much as we used to. For instance, I used to buy, say, between 4 and 5 advertisements in the local paper, the News and Observer, and I'm only doing 2 now in a given year. A typical ad at maybe 3 by 4 inches right now will run you about $600 just for a black and white ad. So we have to find free ways to get the word out about what we're doing. We feel like we have wonderful programs and events, and we've got a pretty good audience coming to those activities, but we could use a few more people, especially for our volunteers when they're all on site waiting for someone to show up and to be able to entertain and to educate them. And so we want to keep getting the word out. So there's free listings through different websites, community calendars, the TV stations. Our newsletter, for instance, is a good source for us, but we've actually now cut that to the point where we're not printing very many. We're trying to send that out electronically, make it available through our website, different things along those lines. So trying to, more free things, you know, as best we can, but certainly some of those strategies that we used to use to get the word out, we've had to not do so much of. As far as marketing and promotion of our events at the park, as I mentioned earlier, we've had some challenges as far as budget, and so we're not able to buy as much paid advertisements as we might have otherwise. So we're having to find a lot of free ways to try to get the word out about our parks. I should mention we have a customer satisfaction survey that we've actually just enacted over the last couple months, and one of the questions that we're asking the public in that survey, which I should mention is available in the parks as well as online, but in those responses we asked folks, how did you hear about us? And the first primary response that we got was word of mouth. So, you know, if somebody has a good experience in your park, hopefully they're going to spread the word, and that's probably our #1 best way to really publicize and to get folks to come in and enjoy what we've got here at the site. The second most popular way that folks had heard about, or the second most frequent way that folks had heard about the park, was actually by roadside signs. So people are spreading the word in the community, but then beyond that, it's what they're seeing if they drive by the park. Lake Wheeler Road is a very, very busy thoroughfare, so we tend to put out an A-frame sign out at the entrance that'll tell you when we're having a mill tour. Some of our parks will actually put out, like if we have a job available, and they'll get more responses just by having a roadside sign than, for instance, if they try to list it in some other way, say with a paper. But we will do free listings in newspapers, free listings on online sources. You can enter things like to get on the community calendars with the local TV stations. Sometimes they pick you up, sometimes they don't, so there's no guarantee. Try to put out a press release, but that's the challenge sometimes because an event happening is not news in the same way that, say, something else like you know, there being a tragic accident or something like that. Usually that's going to trump our information actually getting online, but it's worth trying, certainly. We have mailing lists as well. We've actually set up a mailing list now through a program called Rate Point, and so we actually will have folks sign up to be on our mailing list at our front desk, or they can actually sign up online on our web page. We have our web page as well. And if they sign up, then they'll get sent all of the information about upcoming events and things along those lines. I also maintain a Facebook page, and there's probably about 190 or so people that are checking out that site as of right now. It's a pretty new resource for us, but that certainly gets the word out as well about programs, events, and I also do an animal and plant of the week so folks can know what's in bloom or what they're likely to see when they come out to the park. So those are a couple of the sources that we use, and there's some others as well, but those are the most popular, the ones we use most frequently. We'll do things like on our event days where we have folks signing up to get their tickets for the mill tours. We'll actually keep a sheet on hand where we'll ask them, well, how did you learn about us? And so we'll write down what folks are telling us. I mentioned the survey already, the customer satisfaction survey. That's helping us to get a sense of where people are hearing about us. But I think there's probably more to be done in that way so that we can start to gather more information and understand what's being most effective. We can tell in a given year, for instance, like this year, I did not do a paid advertisement for my picnic event. and we didn't have as many people. It was a really hot day. Was it the weather, or was it the fact that we didn't do the ad? You know, it's hard to say. It's probably a little of each of that. Plus, every time we do an event, there are a million other things happening in Raleigh. So you start to wonder if it's that, you know, you're competing with these other things as well. So it's a bit mysterious in that way, and I think more work to be done. But there are a few ways, like I mentioned, that we can gather some information. Not to mention just getting out and talking to people in the park and finding out firsthand, you know, what they're thinking, how they learned about us, and what we can do for them. In terms of marketing and getting the word out for the park, certainly online sources are a critical source for us, a critical tool for us to use to get the word out about what we're doing in the parks. Our web page we maintain on a regular basis. We try to make sure the information is always up to date, and we do make our newsletter available online in that way. We used to print out a lot more newsletters and spend thousands of dollars that we just don't have anymore. And so we did make the transition where we gave folks a warning, put on the newsletter, you know, we're going to stop printing as many of these. Please let us know if you really want to keep getting it in print. So they had to tell us or we were taking them off the list. So we culled our list and only really send out a few now, and encouraged even those that still wanted it to get it electronically. So we'll send it out electronically. We do keep a few print copies of our newsletter here in the parks, and we are finding that those are running out still. But we're continuing to try to find ways to get information online so that we do not have to use as much print materials like that. Or perhaps it's our brochure that we really don't want to have to hand out a million times. You know, instead, we just can give you a bookmark, and you can go to our website and get all the information that you want, and much more detail than we ever probably would have put in print, if you want it. So there are things like the website, our Facebook page that we maintain as well, and also there is the Yates Mill Associates website, and we link between those two. I mentioned the Raleigh Heritage Trail. They have a website which features all of us, and that's linked back to our website as well. So again, trying through partnerships and collaborations to really get the word out on online sources. In addition to that, there are listings that you can submit your programs to, such as triangle.com, mync.com, and I'm sure there are some others that I need to find and try to utilize, because those are really good sources. Those are the ways that you might end up on TV. They might feature your event. You may have a reporter who would show up having seen that. I would encourage folks as well actually to make personal relationships with reporters, because then you could give them an individual call before an event, say, and encourage them to come out, and you're much more likely to get coverage in that way. But certainly listing your events, you do have to be careful in terms of making sure you submit it in the right way, or they'll ignore it. But those are important resources as well for us. The park does not have a full-time marketing person. We used to have a graphic designer who specifically did the newsletter and would help us with press releases and would interact with the public affairs office. Sort of this trend of consolidation of staffing, it wasn't just actually within the parks. We've had some of our staff end up in other departments within the county. Some, for instance, got transferred into the planning department or into facilities design and construction. So those that were really involved in park development, we had several folks that ended up being transferred into that department instead. Our graphic designer actually was transferred into the public affairs office. And for a while, she really was still our advocate, but the struggle between trying to now work for a new agency and them having a lot of things that they needed to have be done was something that eventually we saw her less and less being able to really focus on us. That position eventually was eliminated, and so we no longer even have that advocate in the public affairs office. So no, it's left to the individual park staff, really the programmers, to do the marketing. We do have a monthly meeting, a marketing committee that is formed between the parks, and so we do get together and talk about challenges, opportunities. We try to collaborate, and again, this is where we might work out what resources we were going to try to borrow from one park to another for an event or things along those lines. Occasionally we'll buy something like a Park Geek ad. That's an online source where we could buy an advertisement. We started to look into trying to do an overall, like, all parks advertisement that we could put into Triangle Parent and some places like that, but as funding became less available, that's something that actually we weren't able to finish and to do, but it's certainly on our wish list still. So we try to collaborate within the parks as well, you know, to try to get the word out.